poicular terms means they are not capable of regulating their body temperature, meaning whatever the external temperature is, their body temperature also tends to change according to the external temperature. Tympanum are nothing but internal ear openings that are there, and the main function of the tympanum is to help the frog to receive sound signals. Frogs have the capability of mimicking the external environment, which is called as camouflaging. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to this session on class 11th Biology for CBSE. I'm Dr. Divya, Biology faculty, Vidhyaashram School of Excellence, Mysuru. So in this session, let us learn about the topic morphology of frog and the structural organization in animals. So we'll learn about the external characteristics of frog and then move on to learning about some of the MCQs that can be framed under this particular topic. So to begin with, frogs. So in the NCERT textbook, they have given the morphology of especially the most common Indian frog that is there, that is Rana tigrina. So this question can come for MCQ as well. And these frogs, they are amphibians. They come under the class Amphibia, wherein they come under the phylum Chordata, class Amphibia, subphylum Vertebrata, wherein they are amphibians because they can live both on the land as well as in fresh water. Especially in fresh water, they are not found in the marine habitat. And they are cold-blooded or poikilotherms. So cold-blooded or poikilotherms means they are not capable of regulating their body temperature, meaning whatever the external temperature is, their body temperature also tends to change according to the external temperature. And it is because of that these frogs usually prefer to go in for summer sleep and for winter sleep. So summer sleep is called as aestivation and winter sleep is called as hibernation, because what happens here is they are cold-blooded animals, right? So if they are cold-blooded, if it is too cold outside, their body's temperature also will drop, which can be harmful for these organisms. So therefore, during the winters when the temperature is freezing, they go in for the hibernation, which is called as the winter sleep. And also during the summers, the availability of water is not there. There is too much of heat and the temperature is too high, which is not suitable for the survival of the frog. So during that time also what the frog does is they go in for a summer sleep, wherein they bury themselves in the deep burrows to keep their body moist and also to keep their body temperature cool. And that particular summer sleep is called as aestivation. And one more property of frog is that they are capable of mimicking the external environment, meaning they are capable of camouflaging. So usually these frogs live near the ponds, lakes, rivers and all that, where it is the vegetation is luscious green. So the body of the frog is in such a way that it is green in color, it has dark brown spots, and below it has yellow, so that it can camouflage very well with the background in whichever it is living. So they have camouflaging property, which is nothing but the mimicking property. So this is the common Indian frog that is found everywhere during the rainy season. And you don't find frogs in the winter and the summer season, because I told you they go in for aestivation and hibernation, wherein they bury in the ground. So this is the Rana tigrina, which is a common Indian frog. Next, talking about the morphology, like when you look at a frog externally, what are the characteristic feature you get to see? So when we talk about the skin of the frog, so the skin of the frog is always smooth and it is slimy and slippery. Why it looks slimy and slippery is because the skin of the frog is covered by mucus. If you can see there, it is always shiny and it is always slippery because of mucus present in it. And the skin is always maintained in a moist or wet condition because of the presence of this mucus in their skin. And the color of the dorsal side of the body, that is the upper side of the body, is usually olive green in color, and they have dark irregular spots so that it can blend with the environment in which they are or habitat in which they are living. And on the ventral side, that is on the lower surface of the body, below surface, it is uniformly pale yellow in color. And the frog, one of the main characteristic feature of frog is they use their skin for absorbing moisture. Though the frogs live in water, they do not drink water directly. Instead, the skin absorbs the moisture or the water. So that is how the frog hydrates itself. So next, talking about the body of the frog, wherein how does the eyes look? Just talking about the eyes. So they have a pair of eyes which is present on either side of the head, and you have to remember that the frog's body is divided into a head and a trunk part. They do not have a tail. Of course, there are some amphibians which have a tail, that is the salamandra which have a tail, but here we are talking about only the frog. So frog's body is divided into the head and the trunk. So in the head part, they have the eyes, they have the nostrils, and they have the mouth or the buccal cavity. So talking about the eyes, so the eyes are somewhat bulged and it is covered by a nictitating membrane. This is very important, which can come for 1 mark. So what is this nictitating membrane? So this nictitating membrane acts like a third eyelid. So when the frog is in water, it cannot close its eyes and move around, right? It cannot see. So what happens here is a third eyelid like structure just drops down, which is transparent, which allows the frog to see, as without because of this nictitating membrane, it is not necessary for the frog to close its eyes. It can see in the water because it is transparent, and also the nictitating membrane protects the eyes of the frog when it is in water from all the debris and waste that is present in the water. So that is its function. And on either side of the eyes, they have a membranous tympanum. So tympanum are nothing but internal ear openings that are there. And the main function of the tympanum is to help the frog to receive sound signals. So frogs do not have an external ear like how we have, right? So they have an internal ear which is visible to the outside, and it is called as tympanum. And when we talk about the head, again they have a pair of nostrils. So the function of the nostril, so they have nostrils here on either side. So function of the nostril is nothing but to take in air. So during respiration, it helps the frog to take in air when they are on land, not in water, because respiration in water is through skin. And talking about the trunk part of the frog, in the trunk part, they usually have the forelimbs and the hind limbs. So the forelimbs are smaller and less muscular when compared to the hind limbs. The hind limbs are usually quite larger and muscular, and the forelimbs always end in 4 digits. How many digits or how many fingers? So we don't call it as fingers in the case of frog, we call it as digits. So the forelimbs, that is these 2 limbs which are present at the front, they have only 4 digits in them. And the hind limbs that are there, they are quite larger, longer and muscular, and they are made up of 5 digits. How many digits in the hind limbs? 5 digits. Now the function of the hind limbs. So the hind limbs actually help the frog to walk, to creep, to crawl, to jump. For all that, it is very, very important. So for jumping and hopping and all that in the water, or to swim properly in the water, their hind limbs are made extremely muscular. And because the hind limbs are extremely muscular, it is used as a delicacy in preparing food in many parts of, that is in the Asian countries. So they use it as a cuisine. And also when we see the foot of the frog, they have webbed digits, that is in between the digits they have webs like this. So these webs, so you can see the web here. So these webs actually help the frog to swim properly in water, like how the ducks have webbed feet, right? Similarly, frogs have webbed limbs, which helps it to swim properly in water. And the forelimbs and hind limbs, as I told you, they help in swimming, walking, especially the hind limbs, they help in swimming, walking, leaping, burrowing, etc. That is why the hind limbs are larger and muscular and stronger when compared to the forelimbs. So this was about the frog, wherein that is the body of the frog is divisible into the head and the trunk. So moving further, this is also important, how you can differentiate between a male and a female frog. So how can you say this is a male frog, this is a female frog? So one of the main characteristic, which is called as sexual dimorphism, meaning you can easily distinguish between a male and a female frog. So usually, I told you, frogs come outside only during the rainy season. Otherwise, during the winter and the summers, they are not seen. So once the frogs are outside in the rainy season, have you heard a lot of croaking sound that is made, right? So if you have a pond or somewhere nearby your house, a lot of croaking sound, or you live in an area where there is too much of rain also, a lot of croaking sounds are heard in the rainy season. Why is that? So especially this croaking sound is made by the male frogs in order to attract the female frogs for mating. So how do they make these sounds? So they have special structures called as, or sound producing structures called as vocal sacs. So these are the vocal sacs that they have. So these two vocal sacs. So the vocal sacs, when they croak, no, they just bulge and they make a sound which is heard to far distances, and more louder the sound, more easily the female gets attracted to the frog. So that is their way they attract a female. So they have vocal sacs, and these vocal sacs are not there in the females. It is only in the male frog. So during rainy season, when they croak, you can say these are the male and these are the female. And they have, that is, the male frogs have copulatory pad. So copulatory pad is a small extension that is there on the first digit of the forelimb. So they are present on the forelimb. Where exactly? On the first digit. So in the first digit of the forelimb of the frog, they have this copulatory pad, and this copulatory pad is especially helps the frog for copulation or mating with the female. So this is how you can differentiate between the male and the female, because both of these, that is the vocal sac and the copulatory pad, is absent in the female. Otherwise, rest of the structures are same. Only differences with the vocal sac and the copulatory pad. So now we know about the morphology of the frog. So let's study some of the MCQs that can be framed under this topic. So frog belong to class Reptilia, Amphibia, Mammalia, Hemichordata. It is amphibians. Amphibians are those organisms which are capable of living in water as well as on land. Next, the most common species of Indian frog is it Rana indiana, Rana hyla? Hyla is actually a tree frog. Buffo is actually a toad. It is a big toad. Rana tigrina is the right answer, option C. So the most common Indian frog is Rana tigrina. Next question. Dash is not a characteristic of frog. What was the question here? You have to find out among the given options which is not a characteristic feature of frog. So poikilotherms, yes, they are poikilotherms, or they are cold-blooded, wherein they are not capable of regulating their body temperature. Camouflage, yes, frogs have the capability of mimicking the external environment, which is called as camouflaging. Four-chambered heart. This is wrong because frogs usually have a three-chambered heart. So option C is the right answer here. Summer and winter sleep, of course, they go in for estivation and hibernation. So therefore, that option is also not correct. So moving to next, the frog absorbs water by tongue, mouth, skin, nostril. So I have told you they don't drink water directly using the tongue or the mouth, but they absorb water through their skin. So skin is the right answer here, option C. Next one, dash is not an adaptive feature of frog. Again here, not an adaptive feature. So among these features given, which are the adaptations of frog, you have to find out which is not an adaptive feature. Presence of mucus on skin. This is a feature which helps the frog to remain moist throughout. So this is not the right answer. Nictinating membrane. Yes, frogs have a separate eyelid which is called as nictinating membrane that closes the eyelid of the eyes of the frog when it is in water. That is an adaptive feature. Webbed feet. Yes, they do have a webbed feet which helps them to properly wade or swim in water. Presence of external ear. This is not an adaptive feature of frog. Why? Because frogs do not have an external ear. Instead, they have an internal ear which is called as tympanum. So therefore, this is the right answer, option D. Next question. A male frog can be identified externally by which of the following feature? Now, I have given here identified externally. Be very, very careful when you read the question. What I have asked here? Morphologically, how you can identify a male frog, or externally by looking at the frog, how you can say this is a male and a female. That is the question. Now here, presence of copulatory pad on the first digit of forelimb. So this is the right answer because male frogs have a copulatory pad in their first digit of their forelimb. Presence of copulatory pad on the first digit of hind limb. No, they don't have a copulatory pad in their hind limb. So that is wrong. Next, ureter carry both sperms and urine. Now, don't get confused and mark this as the answer because this is correct. Because in male frogs, they only have the ureter which is connected to the testes and the kidney as well. Therefore, the sperm can move from the kidney through the ureter. So, this is correct, but this is an anatomical feature of a frog, but it is the internal feature of the frog. What was the question I asked for? External feature. So you can't select this answer. So that is why I told you, you have to be very careful while reading the question. So this is wrong. Pale yellow skin on ventral side. Pale yellow skin on ventral side is present both in male and female. So this also is not correct. So the right answer is option A. Next question. Mucus helps a frog in having thick skin, dry skin, smooth skin, moist skin. So mucus helps the frog skin to remain moist throughout. So therefore, mucus helps a frog in having moist skin. Option D is the right answer here. Next, forelimbs of frogs have dash digits. Be careful, read the question properly. I am asking about forelimbs. So forelimbs have how many digits? 5, 4, 3, 2. Forelimbs have 4 digits. Hind limbs have 5 digits. So be very careful while answering this. Next, the incorrect statement regarding hind limbs of frog is 5 digits. 5 digits, yes, frogs have a 5-digit hind limb. So this option can't select because what was the question I asked? Incorrect statement, which is not correct. Larger than 4 limbs, yes, hind limbs are larger than 4 limbs. 4 digits, this is option is right. Option C is the right answer because the hind limbs do not have 4 digits because they have an extra digit, that is they have a 5 digit. Muscular than 4 limbs. This is also characteristic. So therefore, this option is not right. So the incorrect statement regarding hind limbs of frog is having 4 digits. Next question. Which of these are the division of the body of frog? Head, trunk, abdomen, head, thorax, abdomen, head, trunk, head, thorax, trunk. The body of the frog is divisible into head and trunk only. So therefore, option C is the right answer. So next question is, which of these statements is false about frog? So a set of statements are given here in the form of options, wherein we have to find out which is false about frog or which is not true about frogs. So they do not estivate. Frogs go in for summer sleep. So that is not the right answer. Or they can ask, they do not go for summer sleep. Summer sleep also can be asked like this. Summer sleep. They change color. They live in burrows. They hibernate. They change color. Now, don't think that camouflaging means they are capable of changing color. Frogs cannot change their color, but their color actually mimics the environment in which they live. So, therefore, this option is correct. So, they live in burrows. That's true. They live in burrows. They can live in burrows and they hibernate also. That is, they go in for winter sleep. So, therefore, option B is the right option here because they cannot change their color. So, don't get confused. Camouflaging is the capability of the frog to blend with the external environment also. Or that doesn't mean that like a chameleon, frogs can change their color, especially Rana tigrina, they do not change their color. So option B is the right answer here. Next question. Which of these structures in frog receives sound signal? Webbed feet? No, webbed feet helps in swimming. Skin helps in respiration and keeping the frog moist and also absorbing moisture. Then nictinating membrane, actually it is something to do with the eyes that actually protects the frog's eyes when it is in water. Next, tympanum. Tympanum is the internal ear that is present in the frog which actually receives the sound. So option D is the right answer here. So this was about the session wherein we learnt about the general characteristic of frog and its morphology, and we also got to know some of the MCQs under this particular topic. So I hope you understood the session well. We shall meet again in the coming session wherein we'll start with studying about the anatomy of the frog. So see you in the next session. Thank you.